So Sean Hannity is one of many Fox people who are now reacting to the student loan debt reduction that Biden announced. And I mean, these guys are really all, to be fair to Hannity, he never pretended like he was a populist, but everybody on the right, whether they pretend to be a populist or they're old school conservative, they're really showing their ass cheeks to the world now and showing how they're deeply anti-working class. So let's take a look.
So in other words, what, a bailout plan for rich people to send their kids to school? And what's so bad about working your way through school? Because I did it. And I decided once I got behind a radio microphone, I didn't want to finish my last year or year plus, whatever it was. And I followed my passion, followed my dreams. I never had any hope I'd ever be successful. But when you really think about it, you know, who is going to benefit the most from this? Wall Street Journal editorial board said student loan forgiveness is an inflation expansion act. College costs have soared multiple times the rate of inflation over the last 50 years. And the people that likely will benefit the most are middle class. You know, think about it. You get out of college, you're not making a lot of money. We have a lot of young people that work on my TV show. They're not making 125 grand. They're now eligible to get, in some cases, up to 20,000, in other cases, 10,000. And this is new Green Deal radical socialism. This is the push for, we're going to incentivize. They're actually telling poor people that they should go into debt so they can get their solar panels. How stupid is that? It's insane. Anyway, this is very perverse incentives, and this is a reckless economic decision on every single level. And the student debt loan forgiveness, I am telling you, colleges are loaded. They are rich. They are making phenomenal amounts of money. Their endowments are massive.
So we should nationalize those too, right?
That solar panel thing really came out of nowhere.
He's literally a talking point machine. You pull the string on his back and he says whatever the RNC talking points are of
Green New Deal.
He's so, I don't know how anybody listens to him and takes him seriously, but let's run through this, okay?
He managed to make the student loan debt thing somehow about the Green New, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
So, okay, at the beginning he says, this is a bailout plan for the rich. Now he's going to go on to contradict himself, and we'll get to that. But at the beginning he says it's a bailout plan for the rich. 100% horseshit. He's flat out lying to you. Even Sean Hannity is smart enough to know that what he's saying there is a lie. 90% of the benefits go to people who make $75,000 a year or less, and they have a cap at $125,000. Now, by the way, I don't even support that. I want to do full total student debt elimination, right? And they would use those attacks against somebody like me if I did something like that. But the fact of the matter is, the really rich, the wealthy, the people who are really that top 1%. They don't have fucking student loans.
Well, here's the other piece that nobody talks about is the fact that the wealthy already get a massive tax break and handout for their kids to go to college in these tax savings plan, 529 tax savings plans. $37 billion a year goes towards that. And so basically you only benefit from that if you've got, tens of thousands of dollars a year that you can sock away.
Weird, he's never attacked that. That's so funny.
Strange,
Very
right?
strange.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, it's almost like he supports the rich while he pretends to do the opposite.
Yes.
So then he goes on to say, I worked through school, bro. When you went to college, school cost 37 cents and a Pop-Tart. That shit, it was nothing. It was nothing. I mean, Biden actually talked about this the other day. He said back in the day, Pell Grants covered 80% of the cost of school.
Wow.
Now it's 32%.
Wow.
And he's complaining about this, the most pro-working class thing Biden ever did. Which gets to the next point, because he said, at one point he slipped up there and he said, quote, the people that likely will benefit the most are middle class. So wait, you just said it's a bailout for the rich. Now you're saying that people are, okay, now that part is true. It is mostly going to help middle class people. But then they move the goalposts when they say that, and the argument is, why are you not helping the poor? You should help the poor, not the middle class.
Yeah, because they're deeply concerned about the plight of the poor. You see it in everything Sean Hannity does.
And that's the exact point I made, because Tucker made a similar argument to it. And I was like, if Biden came out today and said, you know what, this isn't fair. All the people who already paid off all their student loans, I'm going to send them a check for $10,000 each.
Oh, they'd lose their mind.
This is Venezuela. This is crazy.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is the logical extension of their argument here is actually, we should just send $10,000 checks to everyone.
Correct.
To which we'd be like, great.
Yeah, I'd be bait. Are you kidding me? Fucking do that shit in a
Absolutely.
heartbeat. They would never want to do that.
But no, they just want to use this pseudo-intellectual claptrap to try to just keep anyone from ever doing anything. And it's the issue I have, too, with, the argument arguments about like the whole university system is bloated and it's too expensive and all, that's all 100% true.
So nationalize it.
How does that argue against doing this thing right now to help the people who have been screwed over by the system?
It doesn't.
Like, it actually argues in favor. You're saying, like, these people got ripped off by these overly expensive universities. Okay, well, that's a case in favor of taking this limited action. Should it just be a start and we should do a lot more, including cancel all the debt and make college free? Yes, do that. But that is not in any way an argument against taking this limited step right now. So the really great part, though, is when he exposes how much contempt he has for his own workers.
Right.
When he's like,
you want to give these assholes
he's
10
like,
grand or 20 grand?
I got a bunch of young
here.
people who work for me. I'm not paying them well at all. They benefit from this, and that's terrible. It's
What
like,
a
wait,
prick.
what? You just revealed like 5 terrible things about yourself inadvertently right there.
Unbelievable. The thing I can't stand is, and you've seen a lot of this on Twitter too, this like, I'm the middle class whisperer, and I'm going to tell you what they think.
Yeah, I know.
And they make these arguments. I saw a bunch of things like,
See, this
really?
bothers me too.
You're going to tell some elite, upper middle class person to pay for the person who's changing the bedpans in the nursing home? The fuck are you talking about? Again, this is 90% of the benefits to people who make $75,000 a year or less. This is helping those exact people you're pretending it's hurting, you fucking scumbags.
Yes, agreed. I mean, again, it's all fake concern for the working class. It's totally disingenuous. It's not like, for one person to get this debt relief, you're like taking it directly out of the pocket of some, poor person. That's not the way that federal government budgeting works. That's not the way this system works. A lot of this debt was honestly never going to get paid back because it's so astronomical and so beyond what is within the means of people to pay within their lifetime. So, no, I mean, their arguments are silly, absurd.
I have zero sympathy. I mean, when you look...
Here's the other thing, and you and I have been talking about this, is there's a very caricaturish view of who has student loan debt.
Correct.
Because, I was thinking about some of the lead organizers for Starbucks, who are Starbucks baristas, are 4-year college degree holders.
Right.
The face of the working class is not the same as Sean Hannity's apparent image of the dude in the
They only
factory.
think it's white dudes in hard hats. That's it. And they're like 47 years old. That's the only people that they think count.
Are so many people who, they got the 4-year degree, but the economy was shit and they couldn't get a job that really paid the bills, or, they're working a blue collar job or they're working a service sector job because that's what our economy has created thanks to, ideological assholes aligned with Sean Hannity. There's a lot of people who started college and because it's so fucking expensive, couldn't finish.
Right.
And so now they have the debt, but they don't have the degree to enable them to go into some sort of other career. And so they also are working, at Starbucks or in an Amazon warehouse. So they also have this just willful misunderstanding of who will benefit from this and what the actual working class is like. And the other part that really bothers me is this assumption that people are so small-minded that they'll feel like if someone else is benefiting from this and I'm not directly benefiting from it, even though it's good for them, I'm just going to be mad and jealous over it. Sorry, that's not my experience of working class people.
And it's helping 43 million people. That's a gigantic chunk of the country. And then the point you made to me last night, which is 100% correct, is, well, what about all the family members of those 43 million people who aren't directly helped by it, but somebody they love and care about is being directly helped by it?
Or they've been helping out with the payments sometimes when times are tough. I mean, there's huge potential beneficial spillover effects. You pointed to some of the sort of business creation potential for people to purchase a house and get into the housing market.
300,000 new home purchases if we did student loan debt elimination. So obviously that's going to help it. And yeah, there's a direct connection between if there's a lot of student loan debt, there's a much lower rate of entrepreneurship and small business creation. So again, if you're in favor of small businesses, if you're in favor of entrepreneurship, you should be in favor of wiping the debt slate clean. But honestly, the argument I always come back to, which is the only one that matters to me, is an argument from principle. I wouldn't even care if everything we're talking about now to this point wasn't true. I don't care. I think in a civilized society, there are certain things you take off the table. That includes education. A college degree today is equal to what a high school degree used to be back in the day, right? So, and we already have in this country free public education, K to 12, right? It should be preschool through college. So all we're talking about is to treat college the exact same way that you treat public high school. That's all we're talking about. And nobody in their right mind has ever come out of the woodworks, even in today's modern day and age with psycho far-right people saying, you know, we should really individualize and privatize this public high school thing and make all of them private so only wealthy people can afford to go to them and saddle other kids with student debt to go to high school. Everybody would say this is psychotic, this is a scam. Why the fuck are you talking about that? But with college, everybody just accepts it because there's a bias that people have that drives me crazy. It's a bias towards the way things already work, like a status quo bias, where they just are like incapable of thinking even 2 inches outside of the box to think like, well, you know, other countries don't do this. There's a better way to do this. Right now we're shaking people down and they just want to defend it like it works like this now. So how could it change?
Yeah.
As if like we've already reached the end of history and already solved everything. It's fucking crazy.
Not a failure of the imagination of most of the American people. That's an intentional ploy by people who benefit from the status quo to keep things as they are.
Correct. So, and I said this the other day on Twitter, I'll stand by it. If somebody is trying to make the argument that this is an anti-working class move, they're either a total liar or they have porridge for brains. Because I don't see any other way around it. You're either lying or you're an idiot. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most obviously straightforward, clear-cut thing I've ever seen in my life. Canceling $10,000 of debt for people who desperately need that debt canceled. By the way, 90% of student loan holders were like, I can't afford it if we're going to restart it. I just can't afford it. And you're going to wag your finger and say this is helping elites? Go fuck yourself. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. The attempt to twist like opposing debt cancellation into a populist position is really something to see. Really something to see.
It frustrates me so much you have no idea. No idea. Because I'd at least like people, if you're going to disagree, at least be fucking honest about it. At least be honest about how you're disagreeing and what the consequences are of that disagreement. Yeah, I want these people who I know are working class to have to struggle a little bit because they got to pull themselves up by their bootstrapped and you know, you made the deal, you signed the paper, there's a, you know, the contract is valid and blah, blah, blah. Makes one of those arguments.
Yeah.
At least then it's honest.
Yeah, meanwhile, another $3 billion aid package, military aid package to Ukraine sails through and all their concerns about like, we're spending too much money. Not
Krystal,
a peep. Not a peep.
You know we can do this all day. How many trillions of dollars did we send to Wall Street to bail them out? How many trillions of dollars? The war in Iraq, when all said and done, is going to cost $7 trillion. Well, $7 trillion.
Ken Klippenstein made a great point when Larry Summers was, you know, Larry Summers like tearing this thing to shreds. He's just losing his mind over the debt cancellation because it really is a sort of direct rebuke of the ideology that he has spent his lifetime pursuing. I mean, again, it's like a nibble around the edges, but it is a direct rebuke of that sort of radical neoliberal ideology. And Klippenstein was like, yeah, we're going to listen to the guy who was the architect of the Wall Street bailouts be like, oh, we can't give $10,000 to people who are piled up with a mountain of lifetime of debt.
Wasn't he also the architect of Graham-Leach-Bliley, which repealed Glass-Steagall? I think he was.
Very possible.
The wall of separation between commercial banking and investment banking.
Yeah.
I think it was Larry Summers who was like, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that, which turned it into a casino. You go and you put your money in your local bank now, and you don't know what the fuck they're doing with it. They're making all these high-risk, gambling trades with it now.
Yes.
Are you looking up if that's Larry Summers?
Yes, it is. Hold on. Instead of speaking out against the irresponsible Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, let's see what it says here. He certainly was not against it. We'll say that.
So who was the architect of it? I thought he was the architect of it.
Graham.
Does it not say?
Peaked with the packet. Yeah, he was involved.
That motherfucker's behind almost every single shitty neoliberal Democratic.
He is a major architect of the sort of neoliberal economic architecture that we have lived under for 30 years.
So the Democrats that act like Republicans, you have this guy to thank for it. So Ken, keep dunking on him.
Yeah,
please.
that's why they're freaking out about all of this.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.